What's up, agents, and welcome back to another Division video, where today we're going to talk all about prototype gear and basically give you a full rundown of everything you need to know, all of the goods, all of the bads, and a complete guide from start to finish on everything that you need to do to get yourself some prototype gear. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let's get straight into it. So here you can see I've had a little bit of time now with prototype gear, and I don't think it's too unusual that you will see people around now with prototype gear. The cores are pretty easy to get, but getting what you want is not that easy to get. Now, first of all, let's start with the easy thing. Well, I say easy, but the more straightforward. If you want to get yourself some prototype gear, what you're going to need to do is head over here to this brand new menu that we've got in the game at the base of operations, and you're going to need to go and do some of these missions. Now, that's not the only way to get prototype cores, because that's essentially where the upgrade process comes from, prototype cores, which you get from deconstructing gear. You can also get prototype cores as a weekly reward from the raids and the incursion. So per character, so you can do this every character. You got 4 characters on your account. You can do the raids, Dark Hours, and Iron Horse, and the incursion, and you can get a cache that will give you 2 prototype cores, meaning that each character can get 6 prototype cores per week just from doing them activities that we've had in the game for a long time, which is a total of 24 across your account if you've got 4 characters that are able to do the raids and the incursion, or you've got some friends or a group that are willing to carry your lesser characters. So there's that to think about straight away, and that will aid you in the upgrade process, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Or this was on launch day, I think on tier 2 or 3, you can see they'll drop on the floor here like this. They get the fancy new animation on them, and as you can see, I got an Apollo Operator backpack. Although these stats look really low, it plays a little bit of mind games with you. It's higher than what a high-end Araldi roll would be. You can see here with the weapon damage and things like that. But this is obviously something that would not be used. And essentially, you're going to break that down and get yourself a prototype core. And if you're wondering where they show up in your resources menu, you can scroll down to here, and you can see there I've got 3 prototype cores in my menu. Now, I had a bit of an epiphany moment when it comes to prototype cores. Essentially, you only need 7. And the reason I say you only need 7 is that will get you to exactly where I am now. 3 on each side, so 6 pieces of gear and 1 gun. And that's exactly all you need. You just need 7 prototype cores. Now, obviously, you can go and do that in the escalated missions. And let's talk a little bit about the drop rates that the missions have. So big shout out to Dognuts over on Reddit. He posted this really useful thread, and I'll link it down below if you want any of these stats yourself. It tells you how difficult escalation is, how much, throughout each tier that they're going to be, and things like that, along with the mutators that they're going to get. But you can see here, he's got the drop rate here. So at tier 1, there is a 0.2% chance, tier 2, 0.25, tier 3, 0.3, tier 4, 0.3, tier 5, 0.4, tier 6, 0.6, tier 7, 0.7, tier 8, 1, tier 9, 1.3, and tier 10, 1.5. Now, what is very, very interesting here is that you can see actually between tier 3 and tier 4, there is actually no difference in drop rate. So there is absolutely no reason apart from progression to actually do tier 4. You might as well make your life a little bit easier and just do tier 3. Now, these drop rates sound incredibly low, and they are. Yes, they are low. They are hard to come by, and that's exactly what the devs said to us. They wanted this loot to be rare, but this is for every enemy you kill. So although, yes, it would be nice if they were a little bit higher, but as a player, we always want things to be a little bit higher because then it will take us less time. But there is, the thing is, it can be from a red bar. It can be from absolutely any enemy in the escalated mission that you are doing. But yeah, tier 3 is a bit of a so is the go-to essentially, because for if you're solo and you're trying to farm, because tier 4 essentially is a little bit of a dud. And if we go back up to the part where it shows us the rewards, I'm sure there was a bit where there was a reward bit in here as well. No. Or maybe he didn't show us the rewards. So what we can do is we can just hop over very quickly now to Grand Washington Hotel, and we can look at the reward difference. And to be honest, it probably isn't worth the risk, because remember, once you enter your escalation mission, if you die, you lose the coins, and the coin economy is rough. It really, really is. You can see here I've got 45 of them at the moment. So if we escalate this mission and we buy next tier, so you can see the tier 3, when it updates, we get 5 field recon and 2 SHD calibration, along with the XP and the season XP. If we buy the next tier, let it upgrade, you're only getting 2 extra field recon. And although field recon is nice for that extra effort, and to be honest, it's just not worth the risk in losing your tokens, especially if you're going in solo. So for me, that level is only going to be for progression. So next up, let's talk about the actual grind itself. So essentially, and I mentioned this before, you only ever need 7 prototype cores to do one build. So you can see here, you're always going to need a level 30 piece of gear. So you can see here, my Lexington has got measured on it, and it's got damage to target out of cover here and stuff and things like that. And this is a piece that I want to roll, because at the moment I've got one that's just got damage to target out of cover, and that is 100%. Your first roll is always 100% chance. Now what it will always be random. Which attribute it picks is always random, apart from if you do a named piece that has a yellow stat. The yellow stat will always go terminal, will always go to the max, and then the lower chances after that, which will be the secondary or the third attribute after that. So named is a little bit different. So then that screams out to you a little bit that actually gear set items have a much better chance of going complete terminal than high-end items do, because as you can see, gear set items only have 2 attributes to worry about, whereas an item that is a high end actually has 3 attributes to worry about. So getting your high ends to max terminal is going to be much harder than what it is to get a gear set to max terminal. And I'm looking at you guns as well. You know, getting a triple god roll here is going to be hard. And essentially, I want one with damage target out of cover. I want one with health damage on at a bare minimum. So that then that will be useful for me for doing more damage in the higher levels of escalation. So let's go into the prototype menu. So when you go into the prototype menu, what you will see is all of the gear that you've got level 30 expertise. And what you need to think about here a little bit is that, yes, it has to be level 30 expertise. And if you want to know what them new values are, I've done a video on that. I'll link it down below. It doesn't have to actually be max rolled. That was a condition that we were going to get. It's not anymore. It only has to be expertise level 30. That is the only requirement. So if you've got some pieces that you do not want to roll and you want to craft some newer versions, you don't have to waste any materials in maxing the attributes out. You only have to get it to expertise level 30. So let's roll this Lexington and see what happens, because currently, as of today, at year 8 season 1, there is an issue with rolling things to prototype, which all of a sudden I would be celebrating so hard right now. So the first issue that we see is that mods have disappeared. It strips mods from the guns. It's a little bit weird, but what you got to think about is if you crafted a new gun, it wouldn't have any mods on. So I guess something's getting a little bit upset there, because it's not necessarily upgrading the gun, which I think is what we all kind of think about it as being. It's actually creating a brand new gun. You're using it as a material to make a brand new gun. And then you're going to get an augment on, and we'll talk about the cost for that in just a moment. But that's exactly the augment that I would want. Echo, that's brilliant. And then if you look at these 3 bars here, all of a sudden it looks like I've got that crazy chance of everything has gone terminal. which, oh my god, what a roll this would be. I would never need another gun ever again. Now, not everything is sunshine and rainbows at this point, because unfortunately there is a visual bug at the moment that basically is telling you lies. And what you have to do is log in and log out to see what it is that you actually get. Now, sometimes it absolutely works fine, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you'll get bars that'll both go up a little bit. So for instance, you get 20% assault rifle damage, 30% health damage, and maybe 14% damage target out of cover. And you know at that point something's definitely wrong, because one of the core attributes has to go terminal. So you know something is a little bit sus right now. So as you can see here, what an absolute awesome gun. But it changed the talent as well. It had overflowing on, and it didn't have overflowing on, it had measured on. So, you know, I wouldn't be that happy, because the talent is not exactly what I want. So let's log out and then log back in and see what we actually get. And to be honest, even if it does look right after you make that change, I would honestly log in and out anyway, just in case, just to make sure that everything is fine. Now, I've got to give a huge warning here at this point. Do not prototype anything when your items are full. People have been losing items. We've had this kind of bug before. People have been losing items because essentially it thinks that your items are full and it just disregards it. It doesn't even put it in your mailbox. So a little bit of a stark warning there. Do not do that as well. Also, when it comes to the prototype caches, I've heard people lose them if their caches are full when they've completed the raid or the incursion. So be careful with them as well. But some people have said that it's been put in the delivery box. Some people said it hasn't. So just be a little bit cautious around all of this stuff. Another people have said that skins have gone missing from the guns. So be a little bit cautious about that as well. So you can see here, I have got Echo. The talent was right. We've got our gun talent back to what it was. But as you can see, it's just damage to targets out of cover. Which is a little bit unfortunate. I have got measured on. But what is good about this is that actually this is now a better gun for me than the one I had previous. So you can see here, it's got the same stat roll. It's got the same talent roll. But it's before, I didn't want this augment. And I would have had to have got into the game of using my prototype cores to roll the augment. Well, actually, this one's got Echo on, which is better for me. So what you can see here, what I've been doing along the way, although these pieces are not double terminal, they did roll with the augment Echo on. So I've kept them because that gets me halfway to where I want to get to, essentially, a double terminal piece with Echo on. So that puts me a little bit better off than what I was. And if you go back in, you haven't actually lost your mods, thank God. So you can just put them back on and everything is fine. Now, what I talked about a little bit before is that now actually I could put this on another character, or I could just delete it, and it feels horrible deleting a Lexington because I've only got so many goes at this because we can't naturally farm them. But we can delete the Lexington now and get a prototype core back, meaning that if I've got another Lexington, I can go again. Or if you're doing it with a backpack, for instance, a striker's backpack, you can craft one and go again. Essentially meaning that you only need the resources to give yourself that prototype chance at the end, which obviously is going to be a grind, but you can go over and over and over and over again once you've got that prototype core. Now, what thing we do need to talk about is skill gear. Now, it was recommended on the dev live stream that you do not upgrade skill gear unless you want to run the chance that it might not end up being what its final form is going to be. Because, for instance, at the moment, nothing can happen with a core attribute. So for instance, if I chose to upgrade this hardwired mask to 30 and then prototype it, it could pick the core attribute, meaning I would have 10 skill damage and nothing else. So basically no improvement apart from an augment on the top. But what it could do is pick the lower attribute, giving me 15% skill damage with an augment on top. And I've seen people do that. If you want to do that, if you want to get your some upgrades, you can do, because remember, like I've just said, you can destroy the piece and get the prototype back, meaning it'll just cost you upgrade in expertise materials. But they didn't say that this is the final form. They did say that the final form of skill prototype gear is coming in the future very, very soon. So they did say hold off for now, but that's just a you know, a bit of information there, so you can choose if you want to do it for now, but be aware that you might need to trash the gear in the future. Whatever changes they make might not auto apply to your gear, etc, etc, etc. So I just wanted to give that as a bit of a final form. Last but not least, let's talk about augments. So here are the augments that you get at the top of the gun, or the piece of gear that you get, and there is some costs involved when it comes to this, and let's just take a quick look at those costs. Okay, so if you press M on a piece of prototype gear, it takes you into the proto lab that will give you the re-roll augment screen. And as you can see here, the cost to re-roll this augment is 2. Now, if I was going to re-roll this, it will give me the option to keep my current augment or pick a new one. I'm not going to re-roll this, obviously, because I've got Echo on and I want to keep that. But your first cost is 2. That then doubles to 4, then to 6, then to 10, then to 16, and then lastly to 25. And it repeats over and over and over again at that point at 25 until you decide to stick with what you've got or trash it and go again. Now, obviously, prototype cores are hard to come by, so there's maybe some more value in just crafting a new piece and using your expertise materials up and going again, because obviously that's what I'm doing at the moment to try and get double terminal across the board. But yeah, just be careful with your prototype cores and how much that is going to creep up. Essentially, here is a double terminal piece. You can see here we've got weapon damage, critical hit chance here that both rolled terminal, so that this was actually a harder piece to get. So there is that to think about as well. I did do a full video on the augments if you want to check that out previously, but they did change a little bit. So we'll just take a very quick look at here, back at the thread that Dog Notes posted over on Reddit. So you can see here he tells you what. So if we look at Echo, for instance, we've got Echo initial value is 1.2%, which you can see here, 1.2%. That's what it starts off as. And then every upgrade you get 1%. Every upgrade you get 0.2%, meaning the max value is 3%. Now, what's important about that is that they stack across all 7 pieces of gear. They don't stack across these 2. They have to be your active gun, but it does stack across all 7 pieces. So meaning here I've got 1.2%. On this one, I've got 1.2%. And on this one, I've got 1.2%. Meaning that that is now a total of Echo of 3.6% across my entire build. One other thing to point out is that once you basically use that piece of gear, the level progress will go up to 100%. And when that level progress goes up, you can see here we can level up the augment at the cost of 1 prototype core. You've got to be very, very careful here, because you're going to level it all the way up to level 10 using prototype cores. But if you decide to then change the augment, you lose all of that progress. Even if you decided to roll that back to Echo afterwards, you would lose all of that progress. So just be a little bit cautious there. Basically, prototype cores are the immense amount of valuable materials in the game right now. So that's going to be it for the video. I hope that explained prototype gear. But essentially, you know, your first grind is probably getting 7 prototype cores and trying to get double terminal at least across the board. I'm not so sure getting triple terminal on things like my Fox's Pros are going to be viable for a long, long time. But essentially, I want to get double terminal on all 4 pieces of strikers and then concentrate on getting them to Echo. Getting this double Lexington, I might have to save up some resources for when we get a seasonal event and we can farm some more Lexingtons. Essentially trying to get damage target out to cover, health damage, and then assault rifle damage might be a pipe dream for now. But yeah, I'm pretty happy that I've got 6 pieces for now, and I've also got 3 with Echo. Let me know how your prototype grind is going down below in the comments. Obviously, you don't have to do this. I've seen people in Escalation with no prototype gear doing at least level 6. But as of right now, until they bring in daily targeted loot, I really don't feel like it's worth trying to grind. You know, you're never going to grind a set by playing Escalation for strikers right now. It's just going to take you way, way too long. So we're definitely going to wait to see what some of the improvements are moving forward. That's going to be it for the video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, agents, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.